So where we are today is the Atlantic Avenue station in Brooklyn. So the point of this video is to teach you how to use the New York City subway system. So the New York City subway is by far the largest subway system in the United States and one of the biggest in the world. Most of the only other big ones are in Asia. So it is an incredible way to get around the city. It's cheap. For $2.75, you can get from literally any point in the city to the legitimate opposite point. The thing about the subway is, since it is so large and so complex, it requires a little bit of training. It requires a little understanding. It also requires some knowledge of geography. A lot of tourists come to the city and they're intimidated by the subway, and I get it. I get why. I mean, it is very complex. You do kind of have to know what you're doing. But that's what I'm trying to teach you on this video today, is how to use it. So where we are today is the Atlantic Avenue station. The reason we're here is this is one of the busiest stations in the city. It's a kind of a connecting point for all of the Brooklyn trains into Manhattan, and as well as a connection point for the Long Island Railroad, which is a commuter rail, not a subway, that goes out all the way to Long Island. So what I'm going to show you on this little tour and how-to video is how to navigate the subway, how to read the map, how to pay, you know, how to keep your wits about you, and we're actually going to go on the subway, and I'm going to show you how to navigate while you're on the subway. All right, so let's go down. This is the elevator, and this is the main stairs. So one thing to keep in mind, if you need an accessible entrance, not all of New York City subway stations are accessible. They're working on that. It's a work in progress. Most of the stations are very old, and most of the trains are very old. Most of the stations and trains were completed by 1940. So there wasn't kind of that ADA accessibility laws that there are today, but the city is slowly trying to, you know, repurpose all the stations to be able to be accessible. So let's start now. So you walk down the station here. Okay, one thing to note too is some stations are only on one side of the platform. So not most, but some. So you really have to know your geography, right? You have to know what north and south means and where the trains end, right? So if you're in Manhattan, if it says uptown, that usually means north. If it says down in the Bronx, that usually means north. If it says downtown in Brooklyn, that usually means south. Okay, so keep that in mind. One thing to really know is you have to have a little bit of a grasp on your local geography. So I'm going to show you the map here. It's pretty complex, but I'm going to explain everything for you guys. Okay? So here is the map. Okay? We are here. Where are we? Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center. So like I said, it is kind of a connection point for all of these trains, right? So, how to read this? So the stations that have a white dot, right? See a white circle? That is a connection point, right? So that means all trains stop at this station, right? Then there are the ones that have black dots, right? So that represents local stops, right? So there is a difference between local trains and express trains, okay? So see? And then this as well. These represent transfer points, right? So that means that, for example, if I am here, right? So all of these trains go here. B, D, N, Q, R, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I'm on the, say for example, the R line, right? So the R line comes from down here, and then I can transfer here to any of these other lines, right? Any of these lines that are depicted here. Now, if I want to go to the 2, 3, 4, or 5, I have to go through that line represents a passageway. So I have to go through the passageway, then I can transfer and go this way or this way. So it's very important to know if you are going on an express train or a local train, right? So the first thing you kind of want to do is you want to understand, well, you want to know what station your destination is closest to, right? So say, for example, I'm going to do a quick example. Say, for example, I am here at 14th Street Union Square, right? Say I want to go to Times Square, right? I could take either the N or Q train, which is express, right? So I will get to Times Square in 2 stops. Now, if I take the R or the W, I will have to stop. I'll stop at every stop. So I'll stop at Union Square, 23rd Street, 28th Street, 34th Street, Herald Square, then Times Square. So the reason that New York City has so many express trains is because if you had to stop at every single station, you'd never get where you want to go. So what a lot of people do is, if they live in an area where there's a local train, they switch at a main station to an express. And I'm gonna explain what that means here as well. So, for example, say I live all the way down here, Bay Ridge 95th Street. So I take the local train all the way up, and I'll transfer at 59th Street to get on the express. So then, I won't hit that one, I won't hit that one, I will hit this one, I won't hit that 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 one, and then I will hit this one, Atlantic, where we are now. So, know your map, read the map, understand it, and that will really help you kind of get where you're going. Okay, next, I'm gonna show you guys how you pay, okay? Also too, these alerts here, they let you know if there's any issues on the line, right? So if there's any issues or anything kind of like, if there's any delays, which there often are, it'll let you know on there, okay? So I'm gonna show you on this how you pay and get a ticket. So what you would do, first you press start, okay? And then choose your language, let's do English. And say you want to buy a MetroCard, right? So MetroCard. You can get a new card, it costs $1. You can refill your card or get card info, which means you can see how much money you have on your card, right? So if you get a new card, you can choose an unlimited ride. So you can choose if you want 7 days unlimited or 30-day unlimited, or a regular with just the amount you want, right? So you pick the amount you want, you click it, and then it would ask you cash, debit card, or credit card. Say you do debit card. So you would actually dip your card in here, it'll ask you for your PIN, or if you do a credit card, it'll just dip your card in there, it might ask you your zip code or something like that, and then it'll come out. You could also do cash. Say I do cash, it'll say, I said $23, so I could put in coins or bills right here. And we picked $22, that was just one of the things. But you can pick as little as you want. I mean, you can pick, say I want to do one ride, which is $2.75. So I'll do $5. Oh, hold on one. See, and they will ask you here what you want to pay. So I actually already have a MetroCard because I do use the system regularly, so I'm going to use mine. Here is that that thing, and it tells you the times actually, right? So it tells you when the train is coming. Now, when you see your line, right, the main thing to know is you need to know which direction you're going. Are you going, say it's a north-south line, are you going north or are you going south? So how the trains are usually labeled is the last station that the train eventually ends at is the direction it's going. So for example, if it says, I'll show you here. Okay. So see, it says D, Norwood, that's north towards the Bronx. And R, Forest Hill, that's towards Queens. Then the other one says Stillwell Avenue, that's south. And then the other one says Bay Ridge 95th Street, that's south. So when you want to know what direction the train is going, look at the map and see where it ends. This kind of becomes second nature if you live here. I see how it could be intimidating to you know, someone who's not from here definitely could be. But just the main thing to know is where you're going, where the train ends to understand which direction you're going, and to know if you need to take an express or a local. If you can't, if you're getting intimidated with the local express thing, just take the local because it goes there. I mean, it may take you a couple more, you know, a little more time, but it's fine. All right, so we're gonna enter now. I'm gonna show you how to enter. Hold on. So what you want to do is, once you get that card, you just want to slide it through here, right? So, and it'll tell you your balance. Okay, now you're in the system. So now we're in the system, right? So we are off the street level and we are in the system. So, like I said, the two sections that tell you where you're going, right? So say I want to go south, right? Right there, that's Bay Ridge and Coney Island. That's the south direction, right? That's where the train ends. Those trains end. They go that way, right? So they give you general descriptions. They don't always say the exact end station, okay? And then that's the other way. So that's to go north. That's to go to Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens. This is a pretty complex station. Not all stations are this long. So say I got off one of these trains and I want to transfer to the 2, 3, 4, 5 B or Q train, right? That was one of those stations where it has the two stations with the line. That means that you have a free transfer, but you have to go through like a tunnel to get there, right? So I'm gonna show you what that tunnel is.
Not just the brothers either. I know I do the same thing with my each other.
Say for example, we want to go to Manhattan on the 2 or 3 train, right? So say we are transferring from those ones and we want to go to Manhattan, right? So you have to find the signs that tell you where to go, right? So here we are. So it says Manhattan and the Bronx. Follow this, and you keep going, you just follow the signs, and it'll tell you Manhattan, the Bronx. So you can either go that way or that way, it's the same thing. So say we go up here, side of the train. So when you're on the train, you also need to navigate while you're on it, right? So it gives you an idea of where you are. Not only is there a map there, every station has a map, but most stations, I mean most trains rather, have an indicator here as well, right? So it'll tell you, right? So we just left Atlantic, right? Right there. Now we're going to be at Neville Street. You transfer to 3 or 4, right? Next one, you transfer at Hoyt. But we can't transfer, that's another station. Then, Borough Hall, transfer to 3 and 4 or R train, right? Then Clark Street, no transfers. Wall Street, no transfers. Fulton Street, transfer to 3, 4, 5, AC, J, Z, and the path, which goes to New Jersey. Park Place, 3ACERW path. And then as you get to, like, this is Times Square, this is the busiest station, right? You can transfer to all of the station. I mean, all of these trains. Same with this. So you get the idea. Once you're on the train, you actually could navigate within the train, right? So then you can kind of see where you're going along. Not all have this setup. Some trains just have it just reads the station and it says this one's coming up, transfer to these. But it's kind of the same idea. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get off now. I'm gonna explain a little bit more to you guys, and then we're gonna learn a little bit more about how to get back and how to transfer and how to get where you're going. Okay? Stay tuned. I just took it back. So we are back at the original station, the Atlantic Avenue station. So you can see here. Now, something to note, there's a help thing here. So that's a newer edition. Most stations don't have those, but this is one of the larger stations. If there's an emergency or you want information, you can get it from there. I wouldn't rely on that too much, to be quite honest with you. When worse comes to worse, if you're taking the system, you know, taking the subway system, just ask somebody. New Yorkers are not as abrasive as you may think. They actually usually like to give their 2 cents on how to get around. So just ask someone how to get to where you're going. Most people will be happy to give you their advice. Safety. So, is the New York City subway safe? Well, safety and the relativity of safety is up to the eye of the beholder, right? So I can't answer that question for you. However, I consider it quite safe, right? It's a very busy system, right? But what's interesting about it is you can't say it's safe because it's a moving object, right? It goes under different neighborhoods. It goes under the most wealthy neighborhoods in the world, and it goes under some of the poorest neighborhoods of the world, you know, more crime-ridden neighborhoods. So here's a little tip. If you're in Manhattan, if you stay south of 92nd Street, pretty much the whole thing's safe. I mean, you're gonna get weirdos and bums and stuff, but it's fine, right? And you get some further out afield kind of neighborhoods, like in the Bronx or deeper in Brooklyn or Queens, it could get a little bit unsafe. But you know, I've never had a problem, and I know I'm a man, right? So it's not the same experience for everyone, but it's pretty safe. You're in a very large city. Just keep your wits about you. You know, you'll be fine. Also, look at the time you're taking it. Right now, it's 10 in the morning, right? So the morning rush kind of died down. It's also a lot quieter than it usually is because it's 10 a.m., right? If we would have came an hour and a half earlier, it would have been a lot busier. So if you take it during busy times, I mean, maybe especially if you're a tourist and you're kind of unfamiliar, I wouldn't be taking it at 2 a.m., you know? It's quieter. There's less people on it. It could be pretty isolated down here late at night. So you know, maybe I wouldn't recommend that, but it runs 24 hours. I mean, I've taken it late at night, but I know the system, right? I have an air about me where I know what I'm doing. People who don't maybe consider it a target. But you know, I definitely recommend taking the New York City subway when you're here in New York. It's $2.75, you can get wherever you want, and you see the real lifeblood of the city. You know, when you're taking a cab or taking one of those double-decker buses, you're not in it. You're almost like watching the city from afar, like in a zoo, right? Take the subway. You'll feel the real heartbeat of New York City, and quite honestly, it's the fastest way. I mean, you get stuck in traffic in cabs and on those buses and everything. This speeds through the city underground, right? So it's the fastest way, it's the cheapest way, and you really get to experience the reality of it, you know what I mean? So, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to my channel. I travel to places all throughout New York and all over the world. You know, I try to show some cool things, give you a little history, give you a little synopsis of each place. You know, if you have any questions at all, I try to answer almost every question I have. If you have any question at all about the New York City subway, leave it in the comments below. And you know, if you have any comments yourself, building a community, you know, leave your comments as well. Until next time, guys, take care.